In less than 7 years, Bitcoin has gone from a utopian idea for digital money to a financial technology platform implicitly endorsed by Goldman Sachs and the New York Stock Exchange. And in between, it was the subject of a wild speculative investment frenzy. But Bitcoin's rise was hardly inevitable, requiring the collaboration of dozens of idealists and opportunists working together and in competition. New York Times reporter Nathaniel chronicles the colorful history of the so-called cryptocurrency in his new book, Digital Gold, Bitcoin and the Inside Story of the Misfits and Millionaires Trying to Reinvent Money. And he joins me now. So Nathaniel, let's start with that notion of reinventing money. Why do people behind Bitcoin think our money needs to be reinvented in the first place, and how does Bitcoin accomplish that?
I think it went through a lot of different phases, and that's one of the most interesting things I learned in the course of writing this book that I didn't expect. Before Bitcoin existed, there was something like 2 decades of experiments trying to figure out a way to create a new money for the sort of internet age. And initially, a lot of the motivation was actually privacy activists, people who saw that when transactions moved from the cash world to the electronic world, you created this sort of perfect electronic record of people's movements and interests and everything. And so a lot of the early work was this group of privacy activists who gathered in these online communities like the cypherpunks and extropians, lots of other fun names like that. Yeah. So it began with that, but I think when Bitcoin was launched, what was in the air was the financial crisis, yeah. And it's sort of all the things that came from that.
So the idea that the Federal Reserve and banks together, in a sense, create money, it's under the guise of government action on some level and corporate action, and they wanted another way around that. Bitcoin, I guess, also seemed to have caught on because it seems like an elegant solution here, right? It's distributed, it's kind of both private and transparent in how these transactions take place. I guess my question would be at this point is, now that the financial crisis has passed, has the greatest opportunity for Bitcoin adoption also gone away? In other words, are people still up in arms about those things?
The fascinating thing about Bitcoin is that it sort of managed to adapt to the times, I think. I mean, I think there were a lot of times that people expected it to sort of disappear, right. And so far it hasn't done that. And I think one of the reasons for that is that it's almost a sort of blank slate on which people can write their own interests. And I think actually part of this goes back to having this anonymous founder, Satoshi Nakamoto, nobody knows who he is, because there's nobody there to identify the technology with, people can sort of make of it what they will. And so I think it sort of evolved. Initially, the people who were pursuing this were, again, either these cypherpunks or a lot of libertarians. But as time has gone on, you've seen the sort of tech utopian crowd, which I think has become more significant since the financial crisis. Folks out in Silicon Valley who feel like they're remaking the world. And then now I think a lot of the interesting work is actually going on Wall Street, yeah. And folks who are seeing this opportunity to remake some of the sort of fundamental infrastructure of the financial system. So Bitcoin has been able to kind of change with the times in that way.
Sure. At the same time, you have technologists trying to find new ways to enable mobile payments and other things that people are looking for new ways to move money around, largely, though, on top of the existing credit card or banking platform. Do you have a vision for just exactly what role Bitcoin can play in that world?
Well, it's interesting. A lot of the current sort of so-called fintech is stuff that, as you say, adds a sort of technology patch to the financial system we already have. I mean, things like Google Checkout, Facebook credit. These things are really using credit cards and just sort of providing a new entryway. I think the vision with Bitcoin is that it's a more fundamental change to that, and instead of just patching something on top of the credit card, it's actually a place where maybe you can hold money. It's also the place where you transfer money. So it takes out a lot more middlemen. And I think that the vision in Silicon Valley, a lot of the excitement in Silicon Valley is this sense that maybe this is Silicon Valley's chance to take on some of the fundamental business lines of Wall Street. Mm-hmm. I think finance is something that in many ways has eluded technological transformation. It's been slower in finance, and I think a lot of people in Silicon Valley, I heard this a lot in the course of reporting this book, is this vision that Bitcoin's a way that essentially we get to become the bank. We get to become the financiers now.
All right. Well, still sounds pretty utopian, I guess. Well, thanks very much, Nathaniel Popper.